A very good morning to all of you. I, Dr. Manish Manoria, Director of SIRT and Group Coordinator Academics, Sagar Group of Institutions, The Sage, extend my hearty welcome to our eminent speaker, Dr. R. Ramanujam, who is the Professor in Institute of Mathematical Science, Chennai. And I extend my welcome to all the participants who are attending this exclusive talk today. The topic of Dr. Ramanujam is a very fantastic topic. I am really very excited to listen on that topic. Does she know that I know that she does not know tea? So, yeah, please change the slide. These are the exclusive talk conducted by Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Now, Dr. R. Ramanujam got his BE Honors in Electrical and Electronics Engineering from BITS Pilani, completed his PhD in Computer Science from Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai. After postdoctoral research from the City University of New York, he has been at the Institute of Mathematical Science, Chennai, where he is currently professor. His research interests are in mathematical logic and theory of computation and their applications to theory of distributed system, game theory, and security theory. He is currently on the editorial board of ACM Transaction on computational logic. In 2010, he was Lawrence Fellow at the Royal Netherlands Academy of Science at the Netherlands Institute of Advanced Studies. Dr. Ramanujam has been actively involved in the Indian Institution of Indian Association for Research in Computing Science and the Association for Logics in India. Ramanujam has been associated with the Tamil Nadu Science Forum since 1990, active in its involvement in science popularization and school education. He is the editor of Pulir, a monthly science journal. He was a member of the Yashpal committee that formulated the National Curriculum Framework in 2005 and chaired the National Focus Group on Teaching of Mathematics NCERT. Currently, he is the Vice President of the Mathematics Teachers Association of India and a member of the core committee of CS Pathshala on ACM India initiative. So now I invite Dr. R. Ramanujam to enlighten us with his expert talk. Sir, please start the talk.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks, Dr. Manoria, for that long introduction. Thank you very much. I'll start sharing screen now with my talk. But before I start, I want to once again thank you all. Okay. Yeah, so that's the title, as Dr. Manoria already mentioned. Let me start with thanking Dr. Rajesh Shukla for the invitation and Dr. Manoria for this very kind introduction. The work I'm speaking of is actually joint work with a former student of mine, Dr. S.P. Suresh, who is a faculty member at the Chennai Mathematical Institute. And a fair amount of the work that I talk about in Logics of Knowledge is joint with Professor Rohit Parikh of the City University of New York. And the talk is really on Logics of Knowledge applied to security theory. And if you want to know more, you can always write to me at this email address. You're welcome to. And before I start, I want to be very clear that I would actually like interruptions. I have no problem about people asking questions in the middle of the talk. And if, in fact, if nobody questions, I will ask questions and I will expect some students to try to answer them. There is no right answer and wrong answer. It's more a matter of people trying, and I want to get some feedback. Webinar is like talking to a wall. I mean, since I cannot see all the people in the audience, the only way I can get feedback is by asking questions. And I would request Dr. Manoria to enable students who want to answer questions, enable their mics so that they can talk. So that's the thing. So the talk is upon logic. Now, what is logic about? Well, here is the story. There are three friends who go to a cafe. And one of them wants tea, and the other two want coffee. Right? I mean, this is normal when you go and all that. You say different something. And yeah, so soon the waiter comes bearing a tray with 3 cups. Okay. Now what will he ask them? What should he ask? He doesn't know who wants tea and who wants coffee. And so question is, what should he ask them? Now, is anyone who should say anything? Most natural question is, who wanted chai, right? And of course, the moment somebody says, that's me, you give the chai to that person, no other question is required because the other two must want coffee. Now you could have asked, who wanted coffee, right? But then there are 2 answers. So one is there is a process of inference here. You make inferences. And the other is, well, of the possible things that you can say, you choose one. And you choose whatever is the optimal one in terms of the response that you expect. And that is a process of inference as well. Just one moment. I hope I'm getting my... Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So this is about reasoning in general. What we are going to focus is not on reasoning about what is, you can reason about what is true, what is false. You can also reason about knowledge. Well, what is this about? Well, how do you answer questions? In the first example, I talked about raising a question, what question to ask. But if you are asked a question, how do you answer it? Here is a question here. Is 17,465,737 a prime number? Does anyone want to guess? Actually, it is. But an honest answer typically should be, I don't know. Now, when you say, I don't know, as an answer to this question, what are you really asserting? In fact, it is possible. Right now, people are entering online, so it's very easy to find a prime number calculator on the net. And it's a matter of a few seconds to check that it's indeed a prime. But so you have the ability to answer the question, but when you say you don't know, what you mean is right now, I'm not exercising the ability, and I say, I don't know. What about this? Who is the president of Ivory Coast? Why would anyone know the answer to this question, right? It so happens that it is Mr. Alassane Ouattara, and I found this on the net. I had no idea, right? Here again, in principle, you can find out the answer to the question. You say, I don't know. The I don't know has different meanings. That's what I want to do. What about this question here? Does Dr. Manurya know who's the counselor for ward number 1 in the Bhopal Municipal Corporation? Dr. Manurya, do you have any answer to this?
Yes.
Yes, you know? Why would you, right?
Yes.
Okay, it turns out that it's Ms. Rajkumari Meena, according to what I found on Google.
Yeah.
But here, the point is, why am I doing this? I'm trying to say that Dr. Manurya does not know the answer to this question. Now, on what basis do I say he does not know this? For all I know, he may be a very good friend of this person and may actually know who this, ward number 1 counselor is. But we have certain expectations of other individuals, right? So one thing is about when I say I don't know something, another is to say he does not know something. Now, what about this question? Does Dr. Shukla know whether every student attending this webinar is actually present and listening? Does Dr. Shukla know this?
Can't say, sir.
In fact, you cannot know, right?
Yeah.
There is no way for you. In fact, you don't have a method or an ability to answer this question. So Here, I can say Dr. Shukla does not know because I know that he cannot know. Right? Now, why am I fussing so much about the I don't know answers? Right? When there are, yeah, when there is a question and you know the answer to the question, you give the answer to the question. But when you say, I don't know, you are actually making a statement not about the question at all, but your state of knowledge. When I say he does not know, I'm making a statement about his state of knowledge, which means I have some understanding of his knowledge and his ignorance and some rational basis for that. This is absolutely important for security. All huge amount of security theory is about I know something, but I want to keep it as a secret, right? That means I want to make sure that somebody else does not know. But how do I make sure that the other person does not know? And that is what is the hard part of the whole business. Okay. So reasoning about security is reasoning about knowledge, especially reasoning about ignorance, lack of knowledge. And that follows certain logical pattern as well. And we want to understand that. That's the aim of what I'm talking about here today. And it's much more fun when we consider mutual knowledge. The first one was about I don't know. The second one is about he does not know. Then you have raised the question, how do you know that he does not know, right? So mutual knowledge is much more fun. And that's why the title of the talk, which says, well, I know that she does not know that I know that P, or so on. Okay, I have a secret X. My friend walks in and I don't know whether she knows about X. Now here's a conversation. Now what is it, how do you talk in this context? Now she does not, right? I should say she there, yeah? Now my thing is, if she doesn't know, I don't want to tell her the secret. But if she does, I would like to talk more and find out more. In fact, find out whether she can tell me more. How should I talk to her? Now, a whole lot of communication is about this. Your intention in communication, you send a message, you send a mail, you send a phone, it doesn't matter. The intent of communication is A, to transfer some information, but you also to find out some information. Now, much of theory of distributed systems or formal theories of communication are about exchanging information, giving information, finding the most efficient way of conveying some information. Security theory is diametrically opposite. It's about hiding information. But you don't want to hide information so well that for those who have to look at the information can't see it either. So you want the information to be available to some people, but not to others, right? And there was one question which says, yeah, knowledge and training inference are complementary to each other. And that's really the point. Not quite thing. Yeah, when it comes to security issues, right, the inference that you make is invariable about, you're inferring about somebody's knowledge as well as somebody's ignorance. And a wrong inference on this can have cascading implications. And that is very important to security. Now, suppose it turns out that she actually knows about X. Now, she's walking in, she knows the secret, and she's wondering whether I know it or not. And if she's uncertain about me in a symmetric way, conversation can be very difficult because once you open your mouth, you're revealing some secrets, and both sides are, you're into a situation. I'm sure you've thought about the situation many times. Well, I'll tell you my secret if you tell me yours. Well, you tell me first. Why should I? You tell me first. How do you even start? Right? Now, this is called the partial secret exchange problem. And this is one of the very interesting problems. Yeah, Shubham has raised a hand. Would you like to ask or? Was there a question now? I didn't hear it.
Miss Shubham, you can unmute yourself and ask question. Mr. Shubham, sorry. Chawla sir, you there?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, you can.
Actually, my question is, actually, knowledge and inference are complement to each other. But when we go along with the security issues,
Yeah.
then it still becomes more challenging. My question is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there is no question in that. It's actually a comment, and I agree with the comment that the point is that you attain knowledge by making inference, right? And in security, what you are doing, you're watching communications and inferring information from watching the communication, right? And that results in knowledge. And of course, it doesn't always result in knowledge because there is uncertainty involved, and that's what we need to concentrate on. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to go more into. Is there anything else? Yeah, there is a question from
Mrs. Renuka.
And yeah.
Ma'am, you can unmute yourself and ask question. Miss Renuka, ma'am, you there?
Okay, maybe I can continue and she can ask. There. Yeah. Okay. So now consider a situation where I do not know about X. Now I don't know what the I don't know about the secret X, whether it's true or not, but I know that my friend knows, right? Now, is there a way I can find out from her? I would like to know the secret. I know that she knows the secret, and I would like to find out from her, but she should not be aware that I have found out, right? Now, this is something I would love to do, right? Learn the secret from you without your knowing that you have let me in on the secret. And this is one of the real challenges for security protocols. In fact, this is what a whole lot of hacking is about. Not always hackers may not particularly care whether they find out or not, but eavesdropping is about a whole lot of problems in security theories about that. So you notice that it's all about mutual knowledge, right? And states of knowledge where X knows something, A knows X, B doesn't know X, A knows that B doesn't know X, and B doesn't know that A knows that B doesn't know X. And this operation is very important. And these are the patterns of reasoning in security theory and cryptography. And in fact, this is what gives a kind of a logical foundation for cryptography as we understand it. Now, here is a puzzle. It's a classic puzzle, popularized by Martin Gardner, I think sometime in the 1970s. And it's actually a folk tales from Hungary, and there are many, many tales of this kind. I have 3 red hats and 2 white hats. Okay? And I pick 3 hats out of the 5 and place them on the heads of A, B, and C. Now, what's the thing about hats? Each can see the color of the other's hats, but not her or his own. So is it clear that A, B, and C are looking at each other? They can see the other's hats, but not their own. And now I go and ask. And I, in fact, first tell them, at least one of you is wearing a red hat. And then the following conversation happens. I ask A, do you know the color of your hat? She says, no, I don't know, is what she says. I don't know the color of my own hat. And then I go to B and ask the same thing. Do you know the color of your own hat? And he says, no, I don't. I don't know. Then I ask C the same thing. And she says, yes, I'm wearing a red hat. Can you explain this? And this is a typical example of a logic puzzle. Now, each statement here is changing the listener's state of knowledge. Now, my first assertion, at least one of you is wearing a red hat, right? What does that mean? It disallows the possibility. Yeah, no, but that's a bit silly, right? What is the purpose of a statement like this? Well, there are 3 red hats and 2 white hats. So one of them must be wearing a red hat. Okay, think about it. Then, now look at A. A can see the other 2 hats. Suppose she had seen both white hats, then she would know immediately that what she's wearing is a red hat, right? And she would have said yes. But she said no. So what do we conclude? So at this point, we know that at least one of B and C is wearing a red hat, right? And yeah. The point is B has heard this. B knows this now. So B knows that at least either he is wearing a white, between him and C, somebody is wearing a red hat. Now, suppose C was wearing a white hat, he would have seen it and immediately said, I'm wearing a red hat. But he said no. So that means C must be wearing a red hat. C has heard this and answers this correctly. So what is going on here? Initially, there is the state of knowledge and ignorance. What is the state of knowledge that is there? That at least somebody is wearing a red hat among all of them. And then each statement is changing the state of knowledge of. Now, notice that the communication is a public communication. It is happening on a public channel. Everybody has access to that communication. So everyone can make the same inference that so even though I am asking A and A is answering, everybody else is making that inference as well. This is important. And I think you can see how the reasoning goes on, right? Initially, the possibilities are, as far as A is concerned, I could be wearing a red hat and a white hat, or a white hat. And B and C, whatever I see. Now, we are not told what B and C are wearing, right? Now, in fact, suppose the sequence of communications was slightly different. I tell them at least one of you is wearing a red hat. And I ask a question to all of them. Do you know the color of your own hat? I didn't ask A. I asked all of them. Do you know the color of your own hat? All of them would say, I don't know. Then I repeat the question. Do you know the color of your own hat? All of them will say, I don't know. And the third time I ask, do you know the color of your own hat? Same question I'm repeating again and again. But the third time, all of them will say, yes, I know. And the color of my hat is red. This is an interesting one. Think about why that is true. And that's true for a very important reason. The very first time I say at least one of you is wearing a red hat, right? I'm ruling out certain possibilities. And as it goes along, each person is learning something about what the other person sees, right? So the first time when I say, do you know the color of your own hat to all of them? And all of them say no. Everyone realizes that the possibility that there are 2 white hats and 1 red is ruled out. Similarly, the second time when everyone says, I don't know, after the second one, the possibility of 1 white and 1 red is actually ruled out. So in fact, the third time when I ask, all of them have the answer and they can say it's 3 reds. It's a beautiful puzzle. Now, I have made it very, very simple in the presentation that I have given, but you can, if you think about it, it's, you can generalize, you can, work out the puzzle that I said. And also you need not have 3 red and 2 white. You can start with 3 red and 3 white and do this whole thing. That first communication creates common knowledge among all of them. And so reasoning about knowledge is something that you can do systematically. And in fact, you can write programs to do such inferences and learn about each. And with just statements about each other's knowledge and ignorance, you can get a lot of information. But by analyzing that, you can get a lot of information about what is actually true in the world out there. And that's the main point I wanted to make. I hope that is clear now. Now here is a harder puzzle. This is also from Martin Gardner. And there are two persons whom I call Ms. Product and Mr. Sum. And I pick two numbers, X and Y. Let's say X and Y are distinct and they are in the range 1 to 100. And what I do, I go and whisper to Ms. Product the value of X times Y. And I go and tell Mr. Sum the value of X plus Y. They know this fact as well. That means Ms. Product knows that Mr. Sum knows the sum of X and Y, and he knows that she knows the product of X and Y. But they don't know, of course, each other's values or the original numbers. Now the following conversation ensues, and what is said in the thing is very important. So please listen carefully. So Ms. Product opens the conversation and she says, I don't know what the numbers X and Y are. Mr. Sum retorts, I knew that you didn't. Ms. Product answers, oh, in that case, I know X and Y. And Mr. Sum says, so do I. Find X and Y. This is the famous puzzle of Martin Gardner. Now, it's again clear that the first communication is revealing some information. Can somebody tell me what is the information revealed by the first communication? Any clue? The first one says, Ms. Product says, I do not know what the numbers X and Y are. From that, what can we tell? Does anyone have an answer? Well, it's an elementary fact about numbers that, yeah, Amrita has raised her hand. Yes, Amrita, can Amrita answer this, please?
Yes, sir. So product says, I don't know what the numbers X and Y are, but product knows what is X cross Y.
Correct.
So the basic thing about product is we can always find the factors of a number.
Yes, but there can be lots and lots of factors. No?
Yes, so that's why she's not able to finalize what X
so
and
what
Y
is the information content of her saying, I do not know what the numbers X and Y are? When is it that you will be able to immediately tell, these are the, so suppose the numbers suppose the product that I had told her was 15, right?
Yes.
You are Ms. Product and I have told you the number. So can you tell me what X and Y must be?
I cannot correctly say because
of course you can. Try.
3 and 5.
3 and 5, precisely, because they are primes, right?
Because it's between 1 and 100.
And that's the point, right? So the moment you know that when she says this product, okay, in fact, I should have put 1 less than X, right? 1 is age complication, so let's rule out 1. Yeah. So it's 1 less than X, less than Y, less than or equal to 100. And that's it. Now, immediately the moment this product says, I do not know what the numbers X and Y are, you know that X and Y cannot be both prime. Because if they were both prime, from the product, you know the prime factorization, and that's unique, right? So
Yes.
they're not, if it's a product of primes, there cannot be many ways of factorizing. That's it. So the first statement is giving us the information that at least one of them is a composite number. Now, okay, at this point, it gets a little more complicated. The second one is fantastic because he says, I knew that you didn't. That means that even before she opened her mouth, he knows that from the sum that he has got, there are various ways of partitioning the number as summands in such a way that one of them is always going to be composite. Now that is not easy. In fact, for those who like programming, I would suggest you write a little program to take a number, look at different ways of adding it, right? Decomposing it into summands, and then check which of them will give you prime pairs and which of them will give you at least one composite. That's a lot of fun. And then you will get many possibilities, and then you will begin to see a pattern. So you will realize that the second communication is giving a lot of information. Now, this product answers, now I know X and Y. How did that happen? Okay, now this is again a little more research than needed. I assure you that you sit with a notebook and paper for about a couple of hours. It will take that much time. Or write a program and try for about half an hour, you're going to find the answer, and it's a beautiful answer. What is the content of the last communication where Mr. Sum says, so do I? Well, by the time you have analyzed the first three, you've already found X and Y. So what's the last one doing for you? It's a very, very nice thing to think about. In the interest of time, I'm going to speed up and tell you what it says. It says that the answer is unique, right? You can, in fact, if you just stop with the first three, you can have more than one possibility. The last one says, no, this is a unique decomposition. And that's why I can say find X and Y. There is a unique answer. Now, the moment you actually do the problem, I will tell you to think about not just 100, but up till any n. And is it always unique? Lots of very exciting stuff to think about for those who do care about all that. Okay, let me move on. My point is that philosophers have developed logics of knowledge to discuss such situations. And people have been thinking about these things for a very long time. The Buddhist philosopher Nagarjuna talked about this in India in the 2nd century BCE, right? And in the 1st century, in the Common Era, there were many Jaina philosophers talked about logics of knowledge in 5th and 6th centuries. Chinese philosophers talked about such things in roughly in the 8th and 9th centuries. So this is a long history. People have talked about these things for a long time. But in the modern mathematical version, that what you do is to take the language of Boolean logic, where you have negation, conjunction, disjunction, and, or, implies, etc. So Boolean algebra, as you know, kind of propositional logic, and then you add an operator to say A knows that something is true. So you can write statements like A knows that P is true, where P is some Boolean formula. But you can also iterate that. A knows that B knows that P is true. Notice that not KAP is very different from KA not P, because the one on the left, this one talks about ignorance. It says A doesn't know whether P is true or not. This says, in fact, A knows that P is false. Right? And you can have situations like P holds, I should have put a small p here. P holds, A knows that P holds, and B doesn't know that P holds, and A knows that B doesn't know P. Right? And you can have lots of very interesting formulas. It's like Boolean logic extended. This is usually called modal logic, and you can reason about these things and prove many interesting results like you have for Boolean algebras for logic of this kind. And you can have derived operators like everyone knows P. Everyone knows P says A knows P and B knows P and C knows P and go on and so on over all the individuals that you've got. So EP stands for everyone knows P. But then you can take it further. You can say P is common knowledge. That means everyone knows P, and everyone knows that everyone knows P, and everyone knows that everyone knows that everyone knows P, and so on. And take the infinite conjunction of these things, and this is called common knowledge. Somebody has raised a hand. You want to ask? Yeah. I think Shubham has raised a hand.
Participants, you can unmute yourself if you have any queries and ask question.
This was from Shubham. Oh. Yeah, by the way, common knowledge is something that society depends on, right? For instance, in almost all societies, in traffic signals, red means stop, green means go. Now, it's not enough that everybody knows this. It's very important that everybody knows that everybody knows this, because you are in the north-south intersection and there is somebody standing at the east-west intersection and their side is green or their side is red, they better stop, and you have to believe that they will stop. So second level is very important. In fact, it's very important that it be common knowledge. And of course, we know that at least in Chennai, in traffic signals, nobody follows that, right? Level 2 knowledge is already problematic, let alone common. Now, what are the properties of knowledge? Now, Hintika gave, I'm sorry, that is one. So it's 1962, gave in a very influential book on knowledge, belief, uh, he gave some very important axioms for knowledge that have been discussed by logicians in the last 50 years quite extensively. The first one says that if A knows alpha, alpha must be true. You cannot know something that is false. You may believe something that is false, but you cannot know it. Anybody knows something at all, it doesn't matter who it is, whatever is known must be true. The second thing he says, well, if A knows alpha, then A knows that A knows alpha. This is called positive introspection. That means knowledge has certainty. This is to do with Dr. Chawla's question earlier about uncertainty, right? Knowledge, belief, there is uncertainty about your beliefs, but knowledge is something on which you are certain about, right? If you know something, you know that you know it. Now, this is not always true for human beings, but this is one of the properties that he recommended for knowledge. And the third one is the really most controversial one. It says, if you don't know, if A doesn't know that alpha holds, A knows that he doesn't know that alpha holds. This is called negative introspection. And this is also important because how do you answer when I ask you this particular number and is it a prime? You say you don't know. How are you able to say that you don't know? It's because you know that you don't know the answer to that question. That's how you're even able to say, I do not know. Now, this is, there is one more principle of inference. I just mentioned that and we can discuss that. And this is from alpha implies beta, infer that A knows alpha implies A knows beta. This is knowledge is closed and a logical consequence. What does it mean? It means that whenever you know that if alpha holds, beta also must hold, that beta logically follows from alpha, that anybody who knows that alpha holds will also be able to infer and figure out that beta holds, right? So if alpha implies beta holds in general as truth, right? That if it is cloudy in the morning, it will rain in the evening. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying if such an inference is true, when I see that it's cloudy in the morning, I infer that it will rain. Right? Now, this is the kind of thing he's talking about. And this is again a very problematic one, right? Because abstractly, we may know many implications and we may know the premise, but we may not bother to actually perform the deduction to infer the conclusion. Now, these are very interesting axioms as standard to keep and then debate against. And people have been doing that for a long time. But it's very important to put these down because you can say, hey, I believe in the first and the second, but not in the third. And some people will say, I believe in all those first 1, 2, and 3, but I don't like this principle of inference that you're giving me. Knowledge is certainly not closed under consequence. Now, and then you can build the different theories, different models, and so on. What is of interest to me is if I'm not interested in this A, B, and C as human beings, but as computer programs, right? Now, I can assign knowledge to computer programs. In distributed processes, in distributed computing and distributed algorithms, it's very common to say that this sent a message at this point. So it knows that when in the second round process 2 did not answer, it was doing something else, right? Or in a crypto protocol, I choose a nonce, a random number. I generated it at this point, a 512-bit random number, and I sent it out. And when it comes back to me, I know that I sent it encrypted with your public key. So only you must have decrypted it and you've got it, right? Now, this kind of knowledge ascribed to programs, do they satisfy these conditions? We can have a room with a thermostat and when the temperature goes up by, many computer labs have this, for instance. When the temperature goes up beyond the point, they'll automatically sense that and switch on some air conditioner, right? Now, that means you can say that the thermostat knows that the temperature is actually higher than, I don't know, whatever is a certain threshold that you have preset. Now, what kind of properties does this knowledge have? Now, it's certainly true that a program, whatever a program knows, must be true. Otherwise, it's a state of belief. And if the program is able to act on it, is able to take actions on it, it must certainly be closed under positive introspection. And if a database comes back and when you submit a query to the database, it comes back and says, I don't know. It must mean that it has figured out that it doesn't have enough information to answer the question. Therefore, it knows that it does not know. The last one is really problematic for databases and for programming devices, because it says that this computer program can perform all kinds of logical deductions. So complexity theoretically, it means it's at least a co-NP machine. Okay, so it can solve co-NP hard problems. Now, we don't have any such machines that we know of in polynomial resources. So for computing agents, the last one is problematic, but artificial intelligence people are really looking at this kind of issues to say, how do I build agents that satisfy certain properties or not? For this talk, I'm particularly interested in the security implications. So here is another question, a puzzle really. Let's say that, I don't know how many people are here in this, whatever number, right? Supposing we are meeting in a seminar hall, we would actually see that. And I want to find the average of age of everyone present in the room. At least 2 people are there. Now, you want to do it in such a way that nobody in the room knows the age of any other individual in the room. Now, a webinar like this is bad because the age distribution is completely skewed. Pretty much all the students are in the same age group, and pretty much, well, faculty are in a different age group, that's all. But if in a heterogeneous room where people come from all, there is no background knowledge at all, how do you even guess, how do you even find the average age of everybody in the room? The simplest way is for everyone to tell their average, right? Now, but that then everybody can find out what it is. Now, one centralized solution is for everyone to tell the age to one person, but then that person will know the age of everyone else. Now, is there an easy way to solve the problem? Well, in the interest of time, I'm actually going to give the solution. I call it kid crypto because this is something that school children can do and do. I do work with school children, that is mentioned, and this is the kind of problems that middle school children solve. How do you do it? Well, suppose the children are seated in a circle, right? That's the simplest way, but it doesn't really matter. Put some order in, right? Let everyone call the numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And let's say person 1 starts. Now, person 1 can write his or her age in a sheet of paper, pass it on to person 2, who adds her age. That is the new thing that goes on. By person 3 already, person 3 cannot know what is the age of person 2 or 1 because it's just a sum that is coming. Now, you can keep doing this, keep on adding, and at the end, divide by the number of persons in the room. And you found the average. What is the problem here? Well, person 2 knows the age of person 1. Now, how do we avoid this problem? Solution is extremely simple. Person 1 picks a large number, 5-digit number, adds her age, and that's what she sends to the next person. Everyone keeps adding their age. It comes back to person 1, who subtracts the original number, and now you've got the sum, divide by the n, and you've got the average. Now, at this point, nobody knows what right? And it's a beautiful little answer to the problem that you started with. Why did I say a large number? Actually, it doesn't have to be a large number. It's just something, if you want to remove background knowledge and age group distributions, etc., you want to have no disturbance with actual values. So that's fine. But actually, you can take any number and start it off. Right? Of course, non-zero. That's very important. And sufficiently away from age distributions. That's all. Now, I've given you an algorithm now how do you prove that nobody knows the age of anybody else? In fact, you can show, like exactly like common knowledge, this is common ignorance. Now, this is a property that's very difficult, and what I just gave you is actually a security protocol, right? This is what we call security protocols, because the sequence of communications finally achieves a security objective, right? But proving this, nobody knows the age of another, is really hard. And so it's a logical problem that I'm pointing out, that a problem of reasoning and inference, because reasoning about ignorance is always difficult. Here is another puzzle. And this is called the Great Waldo Search. Okay, so Waldo is a cartoon character who can come in many different forms, as you can see in the pictures. And look at this. Now, this is a crowded festival scene. Waldo is somewhere. And this is the kind of, the first puzzle that I said is for middle school children. This one is for kindergarten, right? You know, very small children play with this kind of puzzle. You know, they look at it and say, hey, where is he? You're supposed to spot where Waldo is. Waldo is somewhere. You're supposed to find out. And he can be wearing any of those dresses. Now, there are two children here, Alka and Adi. They are staring at the Waldo puzzle. Alka has spotted Waldo. Now, if she simply claims this, Abhi will not believe her. So what should Alka do? She should point out where Waldo is. But that is bad, because he will actually get the answer, right? No fun showing at all the location of Waldo. But then Abhi's torment is exquisite if Alka can convince him that she has seen Waldo without revealing the location. Is there a way by which she can convince Abhi that she has located Waldo without actually revealing the location? Now, this gets back to the original problem that I mentioned, right? What was that? Where I would like to learn the secret, or here in this case, I would like to communicate the secret, but I don't want you to actually learn the secret. I just want you to realize that I have the secret with me. This is a symmetric problem to the earth, and it's a real beautiful challenge. Does anyone want to try? I don't think we have much time. Okay. It's a sorry thing to do, but let me tell you the solution, right? There are lots of high-tech solutions, but here is a very, very low-tech solution, right? And what is the low-tech solution? Take this puzzle is on a sheet of paper. Take another sheet of paper. What you should do, first, let's see, you just take a sheet of paper, and then you cut out the shape of Waldo that you have. See, right? Now you put it on top of the original sheet and slide it across until Waldo is visible through the window. So hold it. So Abhi can realize that you have seen Waldo. Remove that sheet, back to that crowded scene, and he has no idea. Now, of course, if Waldo is in one corner, you can get location information by saying, close to this corner, close to that corner. So what should you do? You should choose a larger sheet. If I choose a sufficiently large sheet, then I can ensure that by when I slide it around, the image of Waldo is always visible at the center. Therefore, you don't have. How large should this larger sheet be? A little calculation suffices. If the original thing was a square, you take twice the side of the square, 4 times the area. That will ensure that no location information is revealed at all. Now, this is something you can prove. Now, as a logician, my question is, when you carry out a proof like this, what logic are you doing the proof with? And I claim that it is precisely the logic of knowledge that I was telling you about, where you are doing such proofs. And carrying out such proofs in these logics of knowledge and ignorance is not easy. It's tricky, and there are a lot of technical issues involved. That's precisely what I've been talking about here. So this is an example of what cryptographers call zero-knowledge protocol. This is when A can convince B is true, convince B that this is true without B learning a single bit of information extra. In fact, you can prove that. Now, suppose there are two. Why would you want zero-knowledge protocols? I mean, this is all some children's stuff or what? I mean, well, it's extensively used in cryptography. For instance, suppose there are 2 candidates and I vote for one of them. Now, I would like to convince an authority that my vote is valid without revealing who I voted for. Now, I would like to convince the authority that my vote is for A or B without the authority inferring even one bit of information extra, right? Because in this case, the information is actually one bit. So I don't want that. I want zero knowledge. Right? So now there are some very interesting solutions using group theory and number theory and all, and elliptic curves, all that. I'm not in this talk going into group theory at all. I'm just telling you that there are ways of solving the problem, but the proof question. Somebody has raised a hand.
Please continue, sir. Sir, you are not audible.
Shika madam, what is the problem?
Sir, actually, nothing was audible to me. Now it's audible.
I am not able to listen.
You're also not able to listen, Ramanujan
Yes.
sir? Yes, sir.
You are audible. You are audible, Deepika ma'am.
Sir, Ramanujan sir is not audible, though.
No, he is not audible. Yes, yes. Hello, Ramanujan sir.
I think, sir, there was any network issue and.
Might be he is
Yes.
reconnecting, madam.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Might be he is reconnecting.
yes. Sir joined and.
Yeah, he is reconnected now.
Yes.
Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Shukla, you can share your experiences by the time.
Let us
You,
wait
you,
for
you have also a lot of knowledge in computer science area. If sir is able to not connect right now, you can share.
some network. I think there is some network issue with.
So to maintain the continuity, we will be happy to listen you, sir.
Meanwhile, participants can share their experience about this session if they want.
I would
Yeah,
say,
he
can I speak?
is reconnected. Ramanujan sir, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir, you are audible, but there is a problem with Ramanujan's side.
Dr. Shukla,
Shukla
can
sir,
I?
please call him on telephone. Please call Ramanujam, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let us know what is the problem at their end.
Manoria sir, good morning.
Good morning, Chawla sir. कैसे हैं आप?
That's fine, sir. Nice to see you again after a long time.
Yes, yes, yes.
Otherwise, my frequent visits to SIIT Bhopal, you know, every year I come,
Yes, yes.
and the amount of progress which you have done is really remarkable.
Thank you, Chawla sir.
I would love to visit again very soon.
Definitely, definitely. Last time I think we met in Rajiv Gandhi University in some program.
Yeah, sir. Yeah. So by the time, sir is not able to connect, you can talk something about the Sage University.
We can talk,
What are
but
the recent
at least
developments going on?
yes, but we are trying that because we have the limited time of Zoom. So we are
Yeah,
trying
sure.
that as soon as possible he should start the session.
Yeah, it should be connected. Yeah, but it's a very interesting lecture. He's talking a lot of things about the core mathematics also.
Yeah, definitely. I usually don't get time to attend because so many webinars and talks
Yeah.
are going on. And a few minutes back, I was in one of the international talk show related to the education scenario in this COVID situation in the new normal. As soon as I have completed, I have come to this talk. And as soon as I complete this, I have to go another FDP.
Sir is very busy.
Sometimes I also feel
Actually,
puzzled.
as soon as I saw 2 days back about the topic, so it was very pleasing.
Yeah.
So I felt like joining personally to interact with you all people.
Okay. It's so nice of you.
Yeah.
Even as far as this topic is concerned, this topic seems to be very good and interesting. So that's why I am here for the entire session.
Yeah. Actually, what we know, we should really know we have over prejudices on our knowledge.
Yes.
And learning is restricted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But every speaker has its own perspective for the knowledge. So,
no, he's a very mature speaker and he's talking so at a good speed that everybody is able to cope up.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Shukla sir, is there any progress?
No, sir, he is not picking on to a phone also.
So then already 12 is there. So conclude it then and try to connect on some other time.
Yeah, can we wait for 5 more minutes, sir?
Yes, no problem. Have you talked to him on phone?
No, he is not picking.
I think Rajesh sir, we have already listened to his lecture for about 50 minutes by this time.
Yeah.
And
So,
sir is
Deepika
not
ma'am?
able to connect.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he is reconnected.
Yes.
Sir, please unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. So,
Welcome back, sir.
yeah, thanks. I don't know what happened. Oh, I'm sorry. Share screen. One moment. Yeah, I think this is what I was talking about. Yeah, so, well, the main point is that cryptography helps, but cannot ensure security completely. Here is a little protocol, which where A, who initiates the protocol, is sending to B. Now, this notation is to say X is, let's say, a freshly generated random number encrypted with the public key of B. What is the idea? I'm sending it encrypted with public key of B so that only B can access it, right? As long as encryption is perfect, it will reach B. Now, B replies to A. So this is generally called a challenge protocol, right? A sends to B and B responds with the same random number with whatever Y is generated by B, encrypted with public key of A, so it's accessible only to A. Now, A is sure that I generated a fresh random number and I've sent it out encrypted. And when it comes back to me, I know that I'm talking to B. This is normally the way. Now, assume that encryption works perfectly. There is no cryptography problem at all. There is no hacking. Can A be sure of talking to B? Actually, no, because there is an attack. And this is the classic man-in-the-middle attack. When A sends to B, let's say the intruder captures that message. Now, intruder cannot break encryption, right? But intruder can pretend and start a new session to B where it's the same package. Look at the first, it's the same packet that is just forwarded. It checks encrypted with public key of B. Now, B doesn't know who is talking to. Remember, intruder doesn't have horns of the head, right? So she, according to protocol, B is a responder. What is her role? Whatever came back, I decrypt it, find the number, generate my own number, and send it in the public, encrypted in the public key of whoever sent it to me. So she responds with XY, encrypted with public key of I. Now, I has to simply complete the protocol with A, sends back, because this can all be encrypted and re-encrypted with public key of A and send it back. So A thinks she's talking to B, she's actually talking to the intruder I. And the problem is with multi-sessions. In general, in a security protocol, like for instance, for logins, SSL, any of these, you have a challenger and a responder, let's say. But simultaneously, several parallel sessions are going on. When you're logged in on one window, you're on chat, another window, you're downloading something, another window. So your system is playing many roles at the same time, and an intruder can come in between and pass information from one session to another. And this is the major challenge that comes. And I have a there is another very nice example, but we don't have time to, so I'm not going to go into this. This is on access control rather than on security protocol. And these are all, so security protocols are 5-line programs that we still manage to get wrong. That's what Roger Needham says. And the situation is the same with access control policies. And these are very difficult to analyze. And the main point is the right logical way to analyze it is with logics of knowledge. Now, I'll send the PDF file to Dr. Shukla and Dr. Manoria, and a lot of the technical details can be learned from that. I mean, there are theorems. I'm not going to present all this. This is only to say that we have a lot of mathematical results related to these, something that I've been doing with my former students as well. But, this is for those interested in the mathematical theories about, for instance, when you use XOR, when you use Diffie-Hellman or abelian groups, or what kind of encryption you use. We can bring in all that and do the proofs, but that's a little harder. I don't want to take that. Here, my main point was to point out that you can state these in a formal logical language, and knowledge specifications are natural. And okay, let me skip all these. Knowledge brings a lot of very exciting complications. So the average age, Waldo, all that I said can be now written as formulas and logics of knowledge. I just want to end with this point that knowledge assertions present a very nice abstraction for security theory. And what we would do, what we would really like to is to logically characterize what one-way functions achieve in cryptography. They also capture, one-way functions also capture computational limitations, like problems that are NP hard, problems that require exponential time as opposed to polynomial time, and so on. These are hard to logicize. But the main point is that logic provides a beautiful abstraction, but in security, the details are important. And how do you interface these 512-bit numbers with the kind of formulas? That's where a lot of the challenges come. And we have been developing a theory, but there's a long way to go. Now, I'm going to end with giving you one more puzzle, which I'm not going to give the answer to. But this is something I hope people will think about, like the product and sum puzzle. Here is a puzzle. I have 7 cards, which are numbered 1 to 7. And there are 3 players, A, B, and C. I deal 3 cards to A, 3 cards to B, and the remaining card to C. Now, without loss of generality, assume that A has got 1, 2, 3, B has got 4, 5, 6, and C has got 7. Of course, they know that they've got 3, 3, 1. They don't know which cards. Now, design a sequence of public communications. That means what? They're allowed to say whatever they want, but everything they say is in public. That's everybody can hear. At the end of which, A knows all of B's cards, B knows all of A's cards, and C is uncertain about all the 6 cards, right? That means suppose C has got 7, card 1 is no idea whether it is with A or B, card 2 is no idea with A or B, right? But remember that C is listening to all the communication that's happening. And do not use cryptography, right? There's no fun at all. The point is you can solve the puzzle without using any cryptography, but what you are doing, I claim, is what inferring in logic is not. Okay, thank you. Yeah, my email address is there.
There is one question from Miss Anu Rani.
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, you can unmute yourself and ask. You there?
I'll leave it on.
I think.
Hello.
Yes.
Professor M.P.S. Chawla, I would request sir to share the presentation. It is covering very good content, so it would be very helpful for us if we go through it more rigorously.
Yeah, definitely. I'm willing to send the PDF file. As I said, I can send it to Dr. Shukla, and then you can send it out.
Then he can further share with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So kind.
Any other questions from the participants? If they are having any question, they can unmute themselves and ask. There are no more questions, sir.
Deepshikha ma'am, let us wind up.
Yes.
Because the time is also running fast.
Yes, I'm sure. Sir, can I stop sharing your screen?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Now I would like to request Director Sir to conclude the session.
So thank you, Ramanujam sir. It is really an excellent lecture. This lecture is basically deal with the knowledge, how to represent the knowledge, how to represent the knowledge in terms of inferencing, how to use the knowledge in terms of security in artificial intelligence, what is the mutual knowledge and how to represent the mutual knowledge, understand the knowledge in a logical manner. So it is beautifully explained through mathematics, and the representation was also awesome. So I look forward to have another talk with you in a more detailed manner, not a 1 hour talk. We want to have a complete session for 1 or 2 days on the same topic. It is really excellent. And I thank you once again. I thanks all the audience who came here and joined this session. Thank you very much. Thanks to the organizers, Rajesh Shukla sir and Deepshikha madam for the moderation. So thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.